Say hello and welcome as today we dey na the Ministry of Information and Communication na weekly press briefing wey dem can call for. Today inside the press briefing we go get the Minister of Information and Communication and him deputy for briefing about recent happenings inside the government, and we go also get consultants wey na legal person wey can for talk about the death penalty bill, what e dey all about and what na im current status. We go also get the minister from the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Country Planning wey go can tell we about developments wey don dey happen inside the ministry and land grabbing issues them wey get to be rectified. There we go now and witness as the conference dey take place.
Ministry of Information and Communication, and this is our usual Thursday press briefing, and we'd like to begin with a few highlights of the week, and that will be followed by introduction of our main speakers by the Deputy Minister of Information and Communication. And following that, we'll also have the Honorable Minister with us of Information, who will take us through some key national events or updates. Let's take some few highlights now. The Ministry of Finance has in a press statement informed the public about the renewal of life insurance for 12,945 healthcare workers engaged in the fight against COVID-19. The payment of over 8 billion leones has been paid into NaCOVERC's operational account, which will be subsequently paid to National Insurance Company Limited. The insurance premium covers critical illnesses and temporary compensation, among others, for healthcare workers in the fight against COVID-19. As part of his tour to government ministries, departments and agencies, the Chief Minister of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Jacob Safa, has paid courtesy call to the Ministry of Internal Affairs at its Gloucester Street office in Freetown. His visit was aimed at familiarizing with the ministry's activities with a view of identifying some of its achievements as well as ascertaining its challenges. The United Nations Economic and Social Council, at its management segment meeting, has elected by acclamation 24 experts, including Sierra Leone's Minister of Basic and Senior Education, Dr. Moenina David Senge, as members of the United Nations Committee of Experts on Public Administration for a 4-year term starting from the 1st of August 2021 and ends on the 31st of July 2025. Following massive deforestation along the leeway of the hydropower dam at Bumbuna, the Minister of Environment, Professor Fode M. Jawad, and his deputy, Cyril Chusu, were part of a high-powered delegation of senior government ministers and technical staff from different MDAs for a field assessment at the hydropower dam. The field assessment came as a result of low level of water into the reservoir of the dam due to deforestation along the lee highway of the dam. The World Bank country manager to Sierra Leone, Abdul Mawong, has paid an official courtesy visit to the Minister of Finance, Dennis Vandi, at the George Street office in Freetown. The visit was to establish relationship with the Minister of Finance and team and to develop a platform to work collaboratively with government to strengthen the partnership in delivering the country partnership framework and supporting the medium-term national development plan. And lastly, the Ministry of Finance has on Wednesday, the 28th of July, hosted the signing of $68 million project, which the government of Sierra Leone has secured to finance the Sierra Leone Education Sector Support Project for both Ministry of Basic and Senior Education and Ministry of Technical and Higher Education at the Ministry's Conference Hall. The projects are funded by Saudi Development Fund, OPEC Fund, International Development, African Bank for Economic Development, and the government of Sierra Leone, respectively. And now for our international beat. The United Nations Special Rapporteur on Extrajudiciary Summary of Arbitrary Execution in Geneva, Maurice Timbal Bayes, in a special letter dated 28 July this year to His Excellency Ambassador Lansana Bieri, on behalf of the government and people of Sierra Leone, commended to the government for abolishing the death penalty. The death penalty has been an integral part of Sierra Leone's legal system since its introduction by British colonial rule. And finally, the United States International Department Finance Corporation has committed to provide $217 million in debt financing for a new 83 megawatt power plant to establish in Freetown. This is an equivalent to the entire capacity of Bumbuna hydroelectricity. And that ends our update. And now over to you, the Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Toure. With the leave of our distinguished Minister for Information and Communications, we wish to extend a hand of welcome to the Minister for Lands, Housing and Country Planning, Dr. Surat Senesi, and also the Principal Legal Consultant to the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, L.M. Farmer, Esquire, to today's press briefing to use the opportunity to update the press on the general public on activities going on in those two very important sectors. First, without further ado, we would wish to give the floor to the Minister of Lands, Housing and Country Planning to talk to us about key projects for which the Ministry has received the endorsement of Cabinet and perhaps some other important highlights. Mr. Minister.
I see you're scared to call him Honorable Minister. Don't be scared, just call him. He's an honorable man.
Really? Thank you very much. I'll call him the Right Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you.
Because he's a honorable man.
Yes, thank you very much.
And all that are present here, you are all honorable ladies and gentlemen. I want to believe.
You can disclaim yours if you like.
Right. But you deserve it. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister, Deputy Minister, members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I was here some time ago, and then today again I'm here. And let me take this opportunity to thank the Minister of Information and Communications for, a job well done. Calling us every now and then, come and give account of your stewardship to the Sierra Leonean people. Thank you very much for doing this. Well, for decades now, the Ministry of Lands has been known for land sale and distribution. That is very much synonymous to the activities of the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Country Planning. It has been a lucrative business for a particular set of Sierra Leoneans. This is a country where you have people calling themselves reverend, pastors. You hardly find them in church. They are just out there looking for land, hunting land. It's been a lucrative business. You also have alhajis. They are not in the churches to preach the gospel, but you find them in all other communities just in search of land. So today what we are seeing, we've seen shanty towns, planned communities, etc. But it has been a lucrative business. We do not have diamonds here. Today in the western area particularly, it is about land. There is a complete distortion of the country planning outlook of our cities and towns. No good roads in the communities. Sewage disposal is a major problem. Power and water supply absent because these utilities are never considered when constructing houses. It is very expensive to provide these utilities in an uncontrolled urban areas. There is no area to showcase the beauty of our cities these days. When you go to the other countries in the South region, you go to Ghana, you have areas they showcase with respect to the beauties of their own cities. Today in Sierra Leone, we do not have one. Communities are established without social service centers, not even a sightseeing for foreign investors or foreign visitors. We do not have that in Freetown. No planned settings in our cities, and there is a need for an urgent action. And there is no other time other than now, and we are going to take the action. The Ministry of Lands, Housing and Country Planning is therefore coming in big with affordable housing scheme in the interest of Sierra Leone to address the huge housing deficits as captured in the National Development Plan. So doing so, we are now talking with too many other people, too many investors. Too many people are showing interest with respect to affordable housing for our people. Harbours Ensa Group Limited, an American company, is coming in big with Salon Smart City, and they are going to produce, or they propose, constructing 10,000 housing units in all the major cities in Sierra Leone. 6,000 in Freetown, Bo will be having 1,500, Kenima 1,500, McKinney will be having 1,000. They intend to expand that to Putloko and of course to Kono with time. JL Properties, they invest in real estate development and they are located in Accra, Ghana. They build houses on degraded land communities. So they are also coming in very, very big. Of course, the recent one is TAF Global Africa. They are also coming in big with smart cities. They propose to have 15,000 housing units in Freetown, Western area to be precise. The investor was invited by His Excellency the President last year, and he was here about a month ago. He requested me to also visit to see for myself what they have been doing. I was in Gambia together with the technical team of the ministry, and we are now convinced that they should be here to venture into the housing markets. So TAF Global Africa, they are coming in big. You want to know how are we doing all of this? How are we going about doing all of this? You have interest in investing in affordable housing in Sierra Leone. All you need to do is submit a proposal to the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Country Planning. The technical team will have to review the proposal, and once they are satisfied, they recommend to me, the minister. And thereafter, a cabinet paper is prepared. We take it to cabinet endorse, and the next we do is to negotiate the agreement. What goes into the agreement is also part of what is there proposed in the proposal. So we negotiate the agreement and then we get again to cabinet and seek cabinet approval. Once that is done, we are going to take that agreement to Parliament for ratification. Immediately that is done, implementation starts. We hit the ground running, and then the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Country Planning will be providing the monitoring mechanism. So having said this, you want to also know what are the benefits. Job opportunities are going to be created, so employment opportunities will be created. We're going to enhance tenure security for both the land and of course the property. Tax on investment will be paid to governments, thus increasing domestic revenue generation. Affordable homes for Sierra Leoneans with mortgage financing is going to be enhanced. Decent and outstanding communities will be experienced by our people, and above all, we're going to also boost the tourism industry. That's what we are going to do. So once we have this, you should be at ease to invite your friends out of Sierra Leone to visit your country, because you will now have communities, micro cities created. You can showcase the beauty of Sierra Leone. That's what we want to do, and we are going to do it big. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude that land grabbing is now going to be a bad business. So those that are related or that are family members of those reverends, pastors, alhajis, you should remind them that land grabbing in Sierra Leone is going to be a bad business. Trespassing, cutting down of trees, or green plants, building without building permits are all offenses. And we are now going to prosecute people vigorously as a government. My appreciation, of course, at this particular point in time goes to the police, because they are now giving us a lot of support. And of course, the judiciary, for those offenders that are now in the bad business of grabbing land or building houses without building permits. Building or constructing houses on the foreshores, especially in the western area, is also an offense, and I want to reiterate that. It is an offense. People have not been prosecuted. We are now going to prosecute them. I will go after them. It doesn't matter your status. As a government, we are disciplined, and people voted in this government because of the disciplined nature of the leadership, His Excellency the President. So we are not going to look at your status. If you are found wanting, then definitely we will prosecute you. So we are going to do that. I will do it vigorously. All lands grabbed and, of course, deceitfully conveyed to anyone in the western area are now going to be reversed and taken by the state again in the interest of Sierra Leone and the Sierra Leoneans. We're going to take back our land. And we're going to make sure that Sierra Leoneans enjoy the foreshores, the beach land. Today, when you go around, people are just taking the beach land, the foreshores, with no regard for the rule of law. So you may be wondering what we have been doing. We've been putting ourselves together to make sure that we are on the right footing, so that once we start taking the action, nobody should question that one. That's the reason you have not been seeing me moving around holding tape rule to measure land. I have no business in that. My responsibility is to be at the policy level. And that is what I'm doing, to direct the policy actions. So now we are going out to the ground to make sure that what we've been putting together is implemented. And we are going to do that in the interest of Sierra Leone and Sierra Leoneans. That's what we are going to do. Finally, I am calling on all Sierra Leoneans to join me to refocus the outlook of our cities and towns by supporting affordable housing for our people. Affordable housing is going to be accompanied with proper town and country planning. Sierra Leone deserves the right to enjoy their beachfronts unhindered and not taken away by few because they have the financial muscles. We're going to end this. It's unacceptable. And this government will continue to protect the natural resources of this country, and land is a priority. Mr. Minister, Deputy Minister, members of the Fourth Estate, we've come a long way. We've made too many mistakes. But then there is a need for Sierra Leoneans to now be resolute, that we can still refocus the future of Sierra Leone, provided we have the same thinking. It is time for us to say, enough is enough. It is time for us to say, land grabbing must end. It is time to say, let us have micro-cities to showcase the beauty of our country. It is time for us to look into the eyes of one another and say, no, this is wrong, and it must stop. I want to end by saying thank you very much for inviting me here today, Mr. Minister. And I want to call on the brother there to just give you an insight of what we are going to have in Sierra Leone once we start running the ground hard with respect to affordable housing. Thank you so much.
Develop New Salone Smart City. We are Ence Group, a U.S. investment company with headquarters in Washington, D.C. With more than 35 years of experience in 64 countries around the world, nowadays Ence Group's main companies include Alex Stewart International, one of the largest independent companies in the world, providing analytical services for metals and minerals. Secure Report, which offers biometric technologies and advanced data analysis tools to provide information and security for efficient migratory control at transnational borders. Kibo Laboratories, a leader company in food product analysis and excise tax revenue enhancement for governments, and Harbas, that provides consulting services to governments in public policies such as foreign debt, housing, water and sewage services, health, PPPs and innovation, among others. It also acts as operations developer in the oil, gas and mining sectors and as urban developer. Harbas hereby presents an ambitious proposal, the development of New Salone Smart City. But what is a smart city? A smart city seeks to integrate technology and innovation to achieve sustainable development, focusing on the maximum benefit for the citizens. This concept involves a permanent relationship between the smart city and the internet. It includes, for example, waste management optimization, efficient mapping of public transport routes, better and more complete control of chronic patients without increasing health costs or reducing toxic gas emissions. What do we offer? We offer to develop New Salone to provide 10,000 housing units targeted to all public servants of Sierra Leone, including active and retired armed forces and police personnel. The target population could be eventually extended to include unions and diaspora citizens. New Salone will be located in a total area of not less than 150 and up to 180 hectares. It will have 10,000 housing units spread over 24 condominiums. The basic model house will offer an area of 64 square meters built on 2 stories over a 96 square meter plot at a referential price of $30,000. On the first floor, the house will have a dining room, a kitchen, a laundry room, a bathroom, and a garage. And on the second floor, 3 bedrooms and a full bathroom. In addition, we are considering 2 other models, a middle-income house and an exclusive house. The middle-income house will offer an area of 112 square meters, built on 2 stories over a 150 square meter plot, at a referential price of $50,000. On the first floor, the house will have a garage. As we enter, we will see a living room, a dining room, a kitchen that is connected to the laundry room and at the same time connected to a small garden. And finally, a bathroom. And on the second floor, there will be 3 bedrooms and 2 complete bathrooms. The exclusive house will offer an area of 180 square meters, built on 2 stories over a 375 square meter plot, at a referential price of $150,000. On the first floor, the house will have a large garden and a garage. As we enter, we will see a terrace. Then, the house will have an office, which will have easy access to the living room, dining room, a kitchen connected to the laundry and the garden, and finally a bathroom. On the second floor, there will be 4 bedrooms, a large room for 2 people, the main room with bathroom included. Across the hall, there will be a bathroom, then a single bedroom and another room for 2 people. New Salone will feature vast recreational areas, separate bicycle and pedestrian lanes without
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So that's an example of some of the models we have, which you are going to experience.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. So the new direction administration in the capable hands of President Julius Maada Bio is taking the right transformative steps. The presentation by the Minister for Lands, Housing and Country Planning is just an important component of that transformative agenda. So let's talk now about death penalty. Until recently, when the death penalty was abolished in Sierra Leone on July 23rd, convictions for offenses of aggravated robbery, murder, treason and mutiny carried the death penalty. Sierra Leone has officially joined about 70% of the world's countries where the death penalty has been abolished, either as a matter of law or as a matter of practice. To talk about the legal, judicial, and practical implications flowing from the abolition, it's my pleasure to invite our distinguished, learned L.M. Farmer, Principal Legal Consultant to the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. L.M. Farmer, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Minister and Honorable Ministers, distinguished members of the Fourth Estate, and colleagues coming from the various ministries like my Ministry of Lands, Country Planning and Environment. Let me take this opportunity to thank the Minister who has just presented to us another new life that we'll be having, certainly within the shortest possible time. It's progressive in nature, and I believe it's development oriented. May I again take the opportunity to thank Deputy Minister. He has told you the reason why I'm here. But let me apologize. The learned Attorney General ought to have been here. He was very willing, he was very ready, but for some interventions, which again can equally be as important as this one. We have been invited to come and discuss with you the present status of our bill, the abolition of death penalty. Now, as I speak, it is before His Excellency the President for his signature, then it will become an act. It will become law, statutory law. You may like to know from the phrase abolition of death penalty, what does that mean? I believe it means that this bill is intended to take away those punishments that have been in our laws that gives the right to take life of offenders who have been found guilty of laws like one, that which we call offenses against the Persons Act. I don't really want to speak too much law here, because the offenses against the Persons Act, that act was received in this country, as it has already been told, by our colonial legislature, or our colonial masters in 1861. So, we are also to find in the Lassini Act, 1916, I don't think any one of us here was born at that time. From that period up to this moment, it has been on the law books, for which robbery, particularly that which is accompanied by arms and ammunitions, which our men normally used to do, when they are tried and be convicted, their sentencing was death. The third one is the Sierra Leone Armed Forces Act. You know, I don't want to remind us too much of all of this. That one was brought in 1961. Reasons I cannot account for it, because most times law does not follow morality. But I believe it was to discourage mutiny of army who are supposed to be loyal to the state and protect our territorial integrity. So if you are found disobeying the military law and military code, I think it was also punishable by death. Apart from that, there is the one which I don't want to talk on, the State Offenses, Treason and State Offenses Act, because I think it has carried a lot of very, 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 very important personalities amongst us in this country. And I believe, and I honestly will say, that it was certainly a law for which if you break or you even endeavor to commit treason, you conceal it. At the end of the day, when you are found guilty, death will be the punishment. Starting from 1861, 1916, 1961, 1963, all these laws have been in our law books. Many people have said that there was a period within this country that they were enforced. People were being sentenced to die by hanging. Some were sentenced to die by firing squad. All of this. But I believe that when society develops, as I was saying, progressing, sometimes it looks backwards and say, this type of law is now not, consonant with our development progressive minds. Like my minister was saying, land grabbing has been very beneficial, very much. But I think it is now going to be somewhere else. Nobody will venture to go after he works out strategies. So too, we believe that these 4 laws I have mentioned, the offenses against the Persons Act, particularly Section 1, anyone committing that offense, which was murder, you were liable to be killed or to cause you to die by either hanging, which is correct. Then secondly, the Larceny Act, robbery with aggravation, followed by the Sierra Leone Forces Act and that of the State Offenses, Treason and State Offenses Act. Honestly speaking, I'm speaking here today so that we know exactly why these laws in the first instance were introduced into this country. Then why are we taking them out at this time? We all know 1861, we were not governed by ourselves. When we got into complete contact with the British in 1808, I'm saying complete because it was that time that the Grand Colony was promulgated. Before, when this settlement was found, the British came with their culture, they came with their way of administration, they came with their way of worship to be introduced into our lives in this country. And by 1861, this law was received after the British House of Commons had passed it. We were being with it throughout colonial period until 1960-61, when it was again taken over by our newly independent constitution. It was received and it was adopted. So too it has been adopted by various constitutions up to the 1991 constitution. But the broad aspect about it is that, why now? I believe one of the reasons, I'm not giving any opinion on what the law is, I believe, and you can help me, that death penalty was never a traditional punishment in Sierra Leone. Those who want to challenge it, you can give me instances where in our settlements, when somebody kills either a brother, that the killer has to be killed. I would like you also to give me instances when you're a father of 3 children or 2 children. If by any means one killed another one, whether it was the case that that other brother could be killed by you. Our practice, generally speaking, I don't want to call it traditional and customary law, was to banish, to send people away from our community when we know that they have committed heinous crimes. Like larceny, robbery, of course, you saw a few days back. In my own village, when you rob or when you commit larceny, simple larceny, they will dress you, dance with you all over the village, so that when you go back home, you know when to come out. Probably you take off and go elsewhere. And I believe too, in many other communities in Sierra Leone, the only time one could imagine there might have been life lost was during war, tribal wars, and even that. We have now come up to the stage when the colonial people came, that was called down, creating fear on our minds about these death penalties. If you kill, you'll be killed. And we are no more foreigners to ourselves. We regard our head of state, the President, His Excellency, Dr. Julius Maada Bio, as a father of the nation. When one dies, by another person, that killing, if it is ordained to be done, you'll be losing 2 people at the same time. And I believe no head of state is always happy. None of them can be happy to sign death warrants. Even to us, the law that tells you any person who kills or is convicted after trial is not saying either president or minister or any other person. Is saying between or amongst us, don't kill. Even our present constitution, killing is not ordained by it, because it says no person shall be deprived of his life, but brought up exceptions. Those exceptions are not the rule, they are not the law. And those exceptions are those exceptions that we have borrowed, like those in the laws of 1861, I'm saying, Offences Against the Persons Act, the laws of confined in larceny, that particularly dealing with robbery, with armed robbery. So too, I may follow up with the others, the Armed Forces Act for mutiny, as well as that for treason and state offenses. So in actual fact, what I want to establish is that these are received laws. The only two that we have got, even at that, it was clearly after independence, just 1 year, was the Armed Forces. Secondly, 1963. From that moment, I will say that it has been now part of our practice and culture to believe that when a man that kills, that person who kills, once the law has proven him to have killed, he ought to die. But I believe very, very honestly, by my faith, I'm a Christian. And there are Muslims here who also can tell me that God is the most compassionate. And we say here that after God is government. If we want to see government coming up to build us up, then we should see that government trying to avoid violence in society, whether by itself or by any other person. And this is one way that we can approach that one. Because our constitution, the basic principle we have in this country, is based on peace, unity, and freedom. Where there is peace, unity, and freedom, I believe killing, intentionally cannot be our way of life. So to our communities that we are before British colonial system, we are living as a community. A child born in a community belongs to that community. So if by any means one dies, we may not expect another one to die. So for now, I am not bending upon international conventions, which I believe they have been advocated. Those who brought these laws are not begging us, they are congratulating us that we have removed them from our law books. Can I close slightly by saying that in effect, this bill, when it becomes law, it will be the responsibility of us all. That tells you no person shall kill with intention. Don't encourage as fathers, as mothers, your children to engage in violence. Teach them how to live peacefully. It is our motto. How to be united with their community and how to enjoy their freedom. If we fail to do that, then we are those who are shouting, let the death penalty remain on the books. You are telling us that you cannot train your children, to be peace-loving, to be people who can unite, to ensure the freedom of others. So I invite all of us here to preach to our people that it is now our responsibility when this law is removed from the books. Let us become one, faith-based. Let us take that other proportion of the Constitution that tells us that we should be in peace, we should be in unity, and we should be free to be going up and down. When that happens, I think we'll be close to the Garden of Eden. Not to be shouting, why should we remove this death penalty? Why? Even if I go for the both books, there was a Garden of Eden where Adam and Eve were. I think they disobeyed God. What happened to them? Were they killed? They were sentenced to what? The imprisonment that we are serving today. Otherwise, should I be there in the Garden of Eden? enjoying ourselves talking to our God. He was talking to Adam and Eve until they disobeyed him. So why do you have to choose to disobey government or your community? And you believe that when you do so, they should kill you? Because that is just one part of the offenses that has got this type of law. So I'm admonishing that even in the Ten Commandments, it says, thou shalt not kill. They are not saying whether you are a president, you are a judge, you are this, you are that. And nobody wants to be a killer. Even a law for killing. Who would like to be an executioner? Or if your child kills another child, they give you enemies to kill the other one. So hopefully we are now progressing towards what we, the parents, we, the teachers, school masters, guardians, should now try to train the minds of our children to be less violent, to be peaceful, and certainly to get freedom that we should enjoy in this country. I think God bless you at this stage. Let us follow.
Thank you.
That pastor who grabs that.
So thank you very much, colleague, Honorable Minister Turat Senesi, my brother, Mr. Farmer, the consultant. So this has been a very, very important history-making week in many ways. You are aware, Mr. Farmer just spoke us through the abolition of the death penalty. I mean, he has given us quite a chronology of events leading to where we are now. But His Excellency has always been very clear. He does not believe in an eye for an eye. It will make the whole world blind. So he's choosing the path of Sierra Leoneans learning to live together. Learning to live together because we want to take our rightful place amongst other civilized countries in the world, like he mentioned. He has been roundly commended by world leaders from the UN Rapporteur in Geneva, Switzerland, through to the UK government, the European Union. Everybody is lauding Sierra Leone's very brave, progressive, and audacious steps to ensure that we join the rest of the world in modernity. My brother, Dr. Senesi, spoke about the ills of land grabbing. When he presented those papers in cabinet, I did say I am a serial victim of, land grabbing. Before I got to government, I had bought some land and property that was robbed off me. I did not want all of the, the rigmaroles around it, so I let it go. Again, more recently, in my current capacity, I was allocated government land after going through due process. Again, that was grabbed. So I am happy that Turat Senesi is quite a breath of fresh air. He's coming to the ministry with all the clairvoyance, with all of the best of intentions, and is taking very practical steps to ensure that probably the biggest motivation for land grab is people who do not have enough social housing for people, but who would really want to go through the ordeal of owning land, having to raise a private army to keep it and all of that. If you are sure of some scheme by which you can own a land, your own house at some point, right? So this is the hope that this minister brings, and it is all aligned with His Excellency's vision as encapsulated in the medium-term National Development Plan. So let us support it. Let us support it. This is the only way to go. This is an investment for today, tomorrow, and at all times. Thank you so very much for supporting us. I'm not going to talk about the several other achievements of the week. His Excellency is being touted as one of the inspirational leaders when it comes to investment in education, when it comes to the commitment of leaving no one behind in terms of education. So he has been quite, making the headlines in the GP Summit in London, together with the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education. The fact that he was one of few African leaders choosing to attend in person is a recognition that all Sierra Leoneans, irrespective of whatever sentiment, should be proud of, right? And of course, last week, the Minister of Gender and Children's Affairs was here. She told you about steps this government has taken to enact the Women's Empowerment Bill, right? This is something my old mother would green for, because all their life, all their years, they have been in the small business thing, the petty trading thing, without access to loans and very cumbersome processes to access even the barest amount of money at cutthroat interest rates. So this law is not only going to be well for politicians, it's also going to empower women who are in the private sector in small, medium enterprise development. So this is a very progressive administration. I'm not going to mention about the NPSE results and how accessing that, for everybody did not have to take forever. I went to a village school. So once results were out, I checked my daughter's results. I called our headmaster in the village. Have you checked the results? He said, well, no, they want to wait to go to Puja. I said, no, you don't have to go anywhere. Let me give you the card. Let me give you the code. He did, and was able to extract, the pass numbers for all of the people in that village. By the way, it was 93% pass. They followed in our very proud tradition of doing that. So this is the point. I've seen various things on social media. What's the importance? President Biya has always been unrelentingly committed to ensuring that he bridges the digital divide. He leaves no one behind. We are able to use ICT, leverage it to be able to deliver timely services for our people. That is just one instance. So instead of going to buy scratch cards and all of that, how much?
40,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
40,000? Yeah. Oh, my God. So count the number of people that took the NPS this year, something like 160-something thousand by 40,000. That's a whooping amount of money that has been saved by families, by students. So just so that we draw attention to it, this is a very progressive administration. Continue to support it. You have your hearts in the right place. Thank you very much. I could see my friend Bumper. Most heartily welcome. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. And it's time now for questions.